Can't beat looking at this in the dark. That's absolutely beautiful, isn't it? Wow. Sweet. Wow. What's in the box? What? Yep, thank you Ryan. Really appreciated. What a game. I mean, what a game. Hi guys, welcome to Crazy Burger. We have an unexpected delivery today of the Evercade VS. I didn't really expect to get one, our channel being quite a small channel, but I'd just like to say thanks very much for Blaze for recognising the small channels such as Crazy Burger and sending us a VS to sort of review on the channel. We've covered the Evercade massively over the last year or so. We've made hundreds of videos on it, but still didn't really expect a sort of VS to review, hence we're such a small channel. But we love it. We've played probably this non-stop over the last sort of year, Evercade handheld that is, and absolutely loved it. So it's quite pleasant to be able to sort of look at this and review it and give it the review it sort of deserves. So guys, thanks very much, especially to Ryan and Sean for sort of sending this out to me. And obviously, thanks for this Ryan, Beast Wrestler. Still to come on the Renovation Collection. I'll let you decide if this is a good game or not. This will definitely be pride of place. I know what to do with that. Only kidding Ryan, honestly. So guys, in the box we've got a lovely t-shirt, Evercade VS t-shirt, which is quite cool. I'll sort of wear that with pride. It's a medium. So also in the box we've got this lovely sort of USB Evercade VS stick, which is really quite cool. Maybe there's loads of secrets on here. That would be funny, wouldn't it? So there's also these sort of collectible sort of game cards, which are quite cool. This one's obviously Double Dragon. It's got how many players on it, levels, difficult, retro rating. There's quite a few of them here, and that's quite cool. I'll have a look at them later on. So in the box we also got the Gaelco Arcade 1, which I'm really looking forward to. We also have the Atari Arcade 1 collection, and nicely they also sent these two carts which are due out very soon, next month, a Intellivision Collection 1 and Bitmap Collection 1. Really looking forward to playing all of these. Going to have to take some days off work I think though. So obviously in the box we also got the other two carts, which is Data East Collection Arcade 1 and Technos Arcade 1. Let's have a quick sort of look at the box. So guys, just jumping in here quickly to say the release date is going to be December for the EU, and US looking more likely to be January. If you've got the Funstock edition you might get that quicker, right enough. The sort of details of the configurations are starter pack 1 game and 1 controller, premium pack 2 games and 2 controllers, and there's also the Founders Edition which is completely sold out now. And prices starting from $89.99 to $100, €100 depending on what pack you actually pick. Now back to the video. So guys, I'll leave some links in the video so that you can jump past. If you really want to get straight to the games, get straight to the secrets, so to speak, then you can jump straight to that part without having to watch me opening this box and maybe get to your favourite part. So this is generally the box. Nice looking box, very catchy. I love this sort of purple, red, white colour scheme. It's the premium pack with 2 cartridges. And here's obviously all this. We've featured this on the channel before. Got built-in Wi-Fi, we've got 2 controllers, save states, etc. 1080p on your TV, which is cool. Which obviously, if you play gaming with the handheld, you can only actually play 720p on the actual TV. Obviously handheld, it's a lot less than that. It's a collection of games, but yeah, there's a lot of carts out there to collect. 260 games or more available. If you've not actually started, then now's the time to start if you're interested in retro gaming. Without further ado, let's get this box opened up. So it's just a nice sort of slide cover, ready to play together. Again, pretty similar to the actual handheld. So interestingly, the way sort of package it, you obviously might actually lift it up and lift up the unit, but you maybe want to put your fingers in the back, lift up. It's probably a little bit bigger than I expected it to be. So here's the other two carts that we were talking about. We'll put them to the side just now. Let's pull this out. So it's nicely packaged. You've got your quick start guide. I might have a look at that, I'm sure I will. You usually have a browse. You've got your two controllers. And what's this here? Oh, that looks like a kind of a connection cable. That might be for your handheld, maybe, to use that as a controller, I guess. I'm not sure. So this is the actual unit itself. Let's have a look at this little lid. That's kind of strange and sort of, yeah, it's got some kind of spring action. I think it should be okay. Be interesting how that goes through wear and tear and sort of playing, but you can see you've got your two cartridge slots, which is obviously unique to the system. Your 4 USB ports sort of on the front for your controllers. You've got your on off switch, which is really just a clicky sort of button. I like how that sort of works, actually. It's quite surprised me. I kind of expected it really just to be quite loose, but it's kind of got a spring on it that keeps it sort of nicely. It's got a nice vent for ventilation in front. Interesting to see if there's any overheating issues with it. But I guess it's quite a low powered unit, so I wouldn't be expecting that. So you've got your power and your HDMI cable, which is not included. The HDMI cable is not included here, so you will have to actually find one in your line about your house. Like me, I've got absolutely tons, but that could be a picking point. If you don't have one, you may need to have to purchase one. And obviously the other cable must be the power cable that was in the sort of unit, which I think was actually supplied here. So that will be this cable here, which is for powering up the unit. So I think that's really it. There's nothing particularly exciting else in it. It's quite basic. It's probably got quite a lot of weight to it, to be honest. It's heavier than I expected it to be. A really nice design, very sleek. I mean, I know obviously the Founders Edition is coming out, which I have ordered a Founders Edition as well, which hopefully I'll get at the start of December. That's when the first sort of shipment should actually hit. So hopefully we'll get that on the channel as well, which I've paid for is by my own money. Interesting. Let's have a quick look at the controllers. So that'll actually look quite nice sitting under the TV. So, nice thing about this is that it comes with a very long, 3 metre long cable, which is massively important. Some of the mini consoles that were released recently had really short cables, which means you need to sit right next to the TV, which isn't ideal. With this long cable, that means you can sit pretty much a decent length away. So this is the controller, and it actually feels kind of hollow. I mean, it's kind of, I mean, I hate to say it, kind of feels cheap, I guess. But it looks nice, no doubt. It absolutely looks really nice. That you can see that the same buttons and sort of D-pad is from the handheld unit itself. So we've got the two shoulder buttons on either side, which is quite cool. And that's really it. You've got the additional button really here is your sort of menu button, which will take you back to the menu, I guess. We'll find out soon. So guys, interestingly, the D-pad that's used on the controller is the same design as the one on the actual handheld, which is sort of here. Which I'm not really sure it's a good thing, because there was some reported issues with some of the D-pads snapping. It didn't happen often, but there was some cases. I don't know whether it was just a bad batch or what, but it's definitely something to be aware of through use. It'll be interesting to see how these cope. They do feel quite sort of cheap and plastically, I have to say, unfortunately, but they look nice. They definitely look the part. So interestingly, you can actually swap and use your own controllers. This is an 8-bit Do controller, which I'm hopeful we'll be able to connect it with a cable or with the 8-bit Do Bluetooth adapter, I hope. Which I really love this controller. It's got sort of double sort of shoulder buttons as well. And you can actually also use the handheld as a controller too. So guys, I did try to use the handheld as a controller later in the video, but I used the cable that came with the actual handheld as it was a charging cable, and it didn't actually work. So if you see that part in the video, what you actually need to do is actually purchase an Evercade VS Link cable or something similar, which doesn't actually charge your handheld but actually lets you play games instead. I'll leave a link in the description where to buy this from Funstock. Which I think that's great. I'll be interested to see how that actually works. What will happen if you've got a cartridge inserted as well? Apparently nothing, but you kind of wonder. That's a kind of missed opportunity, to be honest. So guys, these 6 carts, I will do separate videos on all of these. I may play some of the games in this video, but I'll do full reviews of these in the upcoming videos. So just giving you an idea, here's some of the sort of earlier cats, just checking how they actually fit for purposes. They seem to fit quite nice. That's it. That one seemed kind of tight, not too bad. Here's the Atari Collection 2. That's not too bad. They seem to fit quite well. Hopefully we don't see any issues like we obviously suffered with the Handheld at the start, where we had sort of massive issues with sort of putting the cartridges in and out and tightness. But through a little bit of wear and tear, that sort of went away. But it seems okay. It absolutely seems fine. So interestingly guys, I kind of thought the size of the Evercade VS would have been similar to the size of the Super Retrocade, which is another sort of mini console, maybe almost like a competitor so to speak. What it reminds me of, the colour is actually quite similar to the VS, as you can see. But you can see that the size is, the VS is actually much bigger. That's actually quite surprised me, to be honest. I definitely thought the VS was a lot smaller. Not that the VS is huge, to be honest. But it's definitely surprised me. Sort of give it the comparison to the actual Handheld, as you can see. It's pretty much the same size as the Handheld is, which is kind of cool. I love the colour schemes, are absolutely fantastic. I definitely think the colour schemes stick out. Definitely catches the eye. So guys, as a quickie, if you own Namco Museum Collection 1 and 2, these collections will not work on the VS. Due to licensing agreements, they only will work on the Handheld at the present time. That might change. Maybe a firmware update will maybe sort of unlock that and you'll be able to play it should that change. But at the moment you cannot play them. I will show you a sort of demonstration. Nothing will happen. They won't register when you try to play them on the VS. So let's turn this bad boy on. So guys, something else I wanted to say was that obviously the Handheld and the VS, they are different processors. The VS has a 1.5 GHz processor. I'll put the stats on the screen if you want to know about it. It's obviously more powerful than the actual Handheld, but first and foremost, I believe that all the games are tested to make sure they work on the Handheld first as well as the VS, so it shouldn't really be an issue. But you would expect the games to work better on the VS. I think the extra processing power is really to make sure the games run in 1080p as opposed to 720p if playing on a TV using the Handheld. But there's no doubt that the sort of LED light is quite cool. It seems to change sort of colours when it's opening up, but I'm not sure what. If you're playing games that change colour, I never actually noticed. I'll need to pay attention. Very cool though. Sort of look nice when it's sort of all dark. Here we go, we are going. Oh. Okay, let's get started then. So, let's choose English. Welcome to the VS. Set up Wi-Fi. Okay, so the Wi-Fi is really just for the firmware updates right now. So hopefully we'll get regular firmware updates, maybe some added sort of things now and again, maybe some secret games that get chucked in, which I would expect. So guys, just quickly jumping in here about the Wi-Fi. So it has been asked, why is there no online play or online features? So they're obviously not planning that at the moment, but they've not ruled it out. So maybe in the future we might get some multiplayer online experiences or sort of high score tables, so to speak. But at the now, it's just going to be local multiplayer experiences at the moment, and the Wi-Fi is really just for firmware updates. We have heard rumours that there might be like a competition mode where they sort of disable the save states to help with sort of high scores so that there's no cheating involved, so to speak. But that's not confirmed. I think that would be a relatively easy fix, what we'd probably see with a firmware update. But there's no news as yet. Hopefully we'll get that updated soon. So you get your usual agreements to accept or reject. Okay, read that. I hope you did as well. Hopefully, as well as the sort of firmware updates, you'll maybe be able to update the Handheld, so the VS as well. That has been promised by connecting that. So hopefully that will be a thing, because that's a big bugbear with a lot of people that don't have the ability to say update the firmware easily enough. So there's no cartridges inserted just now. We're just going to quickly look at the options that we can actually use. So we've got obviously original, pixel perfect, full screen. We've got subtle scan lines and strong scan lines, but you know, I'm not really sure I'm going to be using them too much. You've got choices of different bezels. Hopefully we'll see some updates. You might even be able to put your own bezels here and put your own designs here. That would be quite interesting. So you can put scan lines on the menu and off as well if you really want to. Not really sure I want to. So you've got the choice between 3 different background themes. You've got dark, which is the one we've got just now. We've got In fact, that's VS Classic we've got just now. Let's have a look at what the dark is. In fact, probably be better putting in a cartridge to actually tell. So let's put in a cartridge. You can actually hot swap, you can just quickly change them as you sort of go. So let's put in the Gaelco cart. Hopefully that will recognise right away, which it has done. And remember, we'll just put in something else as well. We'll put in the Bitmap Brothers collection and sort of see what happens there. So here we go. I like the sort of sound effect as well, which is really quite nice. You sort of changing cartridges, so you can see you've got all the carts that are recognised. So there's not a lot of games in those two carts, so all together it gives you 11 games. There's 6 on one and 5 on the other. So that's obviously not a great idea for putting loads of games on. But let's go back to the themes. That's a dark theme, obviously, which is fine. I'm not really bothered about that. This one, maybe a sort of brighter theme, which is maybe better if you're poor eyesight, maybe. That actually looks quite nice. It's got that sort of VS sort of feel theme to it. Obviously, I call it the VS. A lot of people call it Versus. It really doesn't matter what you call it. I just personally prefer VS, but I don't think there's any particular right or wrong answer here that you can actually use. Okay, let me have a look. So let's change it back to the VS Classic, I think. Oh, so I think, personally, I think this one's probably the best one. This is the Classic, and it has the best look, I think. But yeah, let's have a look at maybe having the menu scan lines again and see what sort of happens. Sort of press B to go back, or to it adds a little scan line effect. I'm not sure how many people really want to look at that. In some games it actually looks quite cool. It might even look better, I don't know, but on the menu, not particularly sure I want to see that on the menu. So I'll definitely be putting that back to normal. Let's put it to off. So the bezels, it's going to be whatever you prefer. Sometimes I prefer actually putting them off because I find it a total distraction with having something in the background. But for the purpose of the video, we'll maybe put one of them on just so you can see what they're actually like. So let's actually put some of the box art, which looks quite cool. We'll see that when we actually kick up a game. So we've got the option of changing the background sound and menus. Obviously the network we've already said, and we're connected. And that's fine. So, and you've got toggle high contrast mode. You want to toggle that, and that looks kind of like that. And that's actually all right as well. Kind of a purple. Kind of makes you think, is that going to be the colours of our new handheld that's coming soon? Maybe it is. Maybe it's not. Could just be purely coincidental. That might help if you've got trouble sort of seeing, but for me, I think we'll probably put that off and back to the sort of classic look. So that's quite cool at that. Also, you've got a choice of languages. There's a selection here for sort of mainly European sort of languages that you might want to choose. That's quite cool. System, check for updates. Let's have a look. So your console is automatically shipped with the latest firmware 2.0. Now hopefully, I think we're hopefully going to see, once this actually launches, a firmware update for the handheld as well, which is said to sort of mirror a lot of the features that you see here. So that'll be quite interesting to see how that works as well. So I think the handheld definitely needs an upgrade. It certainly looks a little bit old hat. So you got a factory reset, and you can map the controller in here. So if you want to change the sort of controller, you can do that, but I'm not going to do that just now. Maybe actually connect another controller to see if that works. Done that. So legal and support, this just goes through all the sort of trademark stuff. Blah blah blah. Let's have a look at the credits. And that's good. All the team that work on, we can sort of jump through that. Evercade VS Founders. Now if you want to watch this, I'll let it scroll through, guys, see if you can find your name. If you want to fast forward, I'll leave a link and you can jump straight to the next chapter. Will we fast forward slightly? I think we can go through it a little bit quicker than that. Do you see your name? Is it there? Do you see our name? Crazy Burger. Yeah, our name's definitely there because we definitely got, yeah, on the right hand side column. Yeah, we're definitely there. So let's quietly through. You can maybe pause this video, guys, if you want to see your own name. There's a lot of people. Maybe it's 5,000 names. Some strange names in here. Do you recognise anybody? Is your name there? Look forward to getting the sort of Founders Edition. It's probably the best value of Evercade that you could probably buy at the time. Firstly, they're all sort of sold out now, and hopefully, if you've ordered one, you'll hopefully receive it beginning of December, mid-December maybe. If you're looking to order a VS, if you're in America, you may not get this till later December or even January 2015 by the time it hits shops, for example. That's a crazy amount of names. Near the end. Yeah, that's us. So did you see your name? Hopefully it's there. Let's move on, guys. So that's just the credits. So that's really it. And just before we go on to the secrets. So we've already covered some of the secrets, but there's also this insert, enter the secret code part, which we're not actually sure what it actually does. You could probably put some random stuff in here and maybe test it and see what happens, but we're not entirely sure. I think there'll be a lot more secrets to be found going forward. I think we'll probably get a day one patch that will maybe unleash some extra secrets. Who knows? But I think this section could sort of be the key to unlocking a lot of different secrets. I think there'll be a lot of secrets we'll probably never actually find unless Blaze actually tell us what they are. Okay guys, without further ado, let's get some games started. So my go-to cart I said I would probably play first is this one. Can you guess what it is? I think it'll be quite obvious once I stick it in, but you'll know what it is. Yeah, but it's the Gaelco cart. For me, I've been looking forward to this one for some time. I've got 6 games here and I really enjoy all 6 of them. So just a quickie, you can obviously sort by players, you sort by title, or you can sort by release. When you've got other carts in, I'll sort of add one to sort of give you an example. If you add another cart in, you can obviously show all, or you can sort by cart and show cart 1, show cart 2, and obviously still sort the releases between the 2 of them or one of them, depending what you prefer. So there's some good options there. That is really quite cool. So let's take out the Pico cart again. I love the hot swapping, it's fantastic. It's a simple thing, but it's pure genius. So maybe let's start and I'm not going to play all these games. I'm going to cover these games all separately, but I definitely want to start with this one, World Rally. Definitely didn't know about a lot of these games. Gaelco Cart is completely new to me. It might be new to a lot of people as well, but I'm sure there are people that definitely know some of these games and have played them, but they're all exceptionally good games. So it's pretty much the B button to get going, and the sort of D-pad to sort of steer, and the handling is superb. Not really sure about the D-pad yet and the controller. It certainly feels kind of cheapy and plasticky, but it feels okay. It's not amazing. It's all about instinct and reactions. This game. It's easy to crash. Love it though, absolutely brilliant until you crash. I think it's quite unforgiving. I think if you can probably get away with one crash, any more than that, and I think it's really game over. You're going to run out of time and you're not going to qualify. But what a game! Absolutely love it. Let's move on to the next game, guys. So you press the menu button, which is this sort of square button in the middle of the controller. So any saves that you've obviously had, you can sort of load in your last saves, for example, which is quite cool, and you can save. So obviously I don't have any saves on this cart yet, but if you put in an old cart, you see some of your last saves, you can quickly jump in between the saves, load your last save, quick save for example, and you can change the display settings here as well. For example, if you went straight to pixel perfect, unfortunately I think what I don't like is that this screen gets quite small, but if you're playing on a big TV then it's probably okay, you won't really notice so much. But I think if you were playing on like a smaller screen, like even the handheld, it probably wouldn't look too great. You see Pixel Perfect, that looks really cool, doesn't it? It definitely pops. It's sort of trying, I've deliberately done that, guys. I'm trying to go back to the menu and change the display back to full screen, which I don't really think many games would suit. But you can see full screen, it's okay. Some games you can get away with it, some you won't. Like I think Worms Armageddon might be the only one that you might be able to get away with is full screen. But it's hit and miss. I think some games looked okay and some games don't. But yeah, it's definitely a personal choice what you actually want to choose. But I think actually the standard sort of display setting is actually fine. Sort of press the A, so I'll just stick to the original. You can add some subtle scan lines and that, I think, if you have a look. And it kind of gives that vibe, I guess, that you're playing on an old arcade machine or something. But yeah, some of the games look okay like that. You can certainly get away with it. Anyway, you get the idea. There's sort of settings there that you can mess about with. Let's save that. So you see I've sort of made a save there in the quick save, and it gives you a picture of where you last saved, which is quite cool. You want to quickly jump back to that, then you can. So that's quick game. So again, you want to jump straight to last save, you can see here. Last save. Takes a little seconds, it takes you straight back to where you actually last saved it, which is another really great feature. I mean, you don't need to sort of mess about going to the menu, go straight back into your game. What another really good touch is, I think I'll definitely find there's a lot of really nice touches that's been added here. So you've got your control screen as well there if you're not really sure. On this game it's obviously not a problem, but other games that are a little bit more complicated, like Worms for example, you might actually need a little bit more help here. But yeah, let's go back. I think we'll take the scan lines off. I'm not really one for scan lines, to be honest. And I think the other sort of settings here are just the bezels, which, you know, again, I'm not massively bothered about. So let's jump onto another game. I think Thunderhoop. Let's have a game. Again, that's another game, totally new to me, but it's outstanding. There is actually a sequel, funny enough, to this, which is pretty impressive, but I'm not really sure if the PS could handle it. It's sort of later sort of arcade title. So let's get started without further ado. Very cool game. And definitely when I was playing it, it gave me sort of Amiga vibes a little bit. Pretty hard though. I mean, typical with a lot of these arcade titles, it is super difficult. But again, you're playing here, you can just insert more coins. Not a problem. I think it's one you just need to learn sort of what's going to happen, the different moves. You see, a very cool title. I think this one's definitely going to impress a lot of people. You can jump on top of their heads as well, funny enough. Which is pretty cool. Anyway guys, you get the point, this is pretty cool. Let's move on. So guys, next card we're going to look at is the Technos Arcade card. Let's have a look at one or two of the games. Not really want to play Double Dragon at all. Let's see. Obviously Combo Tribe is quite good. I'm going to maybe play the sort of 3-player option on that as we go forward, but let's have a look at maybe how the aspect ratios go with the sort of Minky Monkey. These are sort of slightly different aspect ratio games. They're kind of more vertical. You can see that it's obviously sort of quite small on the screen, but you can probably change the aspect ratio. Let's sort of start the game anyway. Kind of like a Donkey Kong style game in a way. So you need to sort of, I think you need to get these blocks here, up here, I think. And put them in the blocks, I think that's what it is, and then don't drop. But anyway, the point of this, I was going to look at how the display settings changed here. See, I'm not sure, Pixel Perfect just sort of makes the screen smaller and gives that maybe slightly better graphical look, but I'm not really sure it works on a smaller TV. Full screen, interesting, it stretches it out for you, which, yeah, if you look at that, it's absolutely horrible. It's really not meant for that at all. But, you know, you might want to prefer to play it like that, but I'm not really sure that's good. Oh. Quite cool game, I think. Whoa. But yeah, I don't think you'd be able to play the game like that. So guys, let's have another look at Atari Arcade one, which is in this arcade as well. I'm not really sure what game we'll play. And these are obviously quite old school games that, you know, they're not for everybody. Interesting to see how these actually handle, because some of these games are really meant for like having a tracker ball. So let's, like, for instance, the sort of asteroids and how it actually handles. I'm not really sure this is going to be the most favourite carts for everybody, the Atari Arcades, but it's still quite cool, I guess, to have them. It's a massive part of history. So let's push start and get involved. I love the background to this. And interestingly, it actually handles really well. I'm not particularly great at them, so just got an A button to sort of thrust and sort of B to shoot. It's not bad. I think, in fact, I'm pretty sure the background here is actually additional. I don't remember that being in the original, unless I'm completely wrong in Havering. But yeah, it actually handles quite well on the D-pad. Interesting. Well, let's try another one. So what other game? We've got Canyon Bomber, Liberator. Let's have a look at Liberator. I know that one's definitely a kind of a strange little game. Yeah, it seems to actually handle quite well. Well, that's quite interesting, because it definitely was a worry when some of these games were announced that they would actually not handle too well on the D-pad, but clearly a little bit of work has been going on here to sort of make these certainly a lot more compatible, because the original ROMs definitely used like a tracker ball, but this actually handles surprisingly quite well. I'm impressed. I think the sort of initial fears of wanting to play on a tracker ball are not really required, so I think they play fine on the D-pad. I'm quite impressed with that. Okay, this card actually has a sort of 4-player game in Warlords, but I'm not going to play it. I don't think it's particularly amazing. But we'll look at these games in more detail in a future video. So guys, let's have a look at Data East Arcade 1. There's some cool games on here, like Bad Dudes vs Dragon Ninja, Chain Reaction, Tumble Pop, Sly Spy. There's some good games here. Obviously the amazing sort of Dark Steel and Wizard Fire games, they are really cool. Not sure what game I should maybe try first. Let's have a look at some of the Dark Steel games. They are quite cool. The Wizard Fire one is pretty cool. Let's have a look at it. Like I say, guys, I will look at these games in more detail in separate videos. It's impossible to go through every sort of game. It would be like a few hour long video. I mean, it's going to be a long video as it is. Oh, I've still got this in full screen, I think. Let's change that. Yep, I think we'll maybe stick to the original aspect ratio. I mean, it actually looks okay. I think a lot of folks are really going to like this. This is cool. I'll sort of fast forward through this. And interestingly, they play extremely well. Very cool. And this is another sort, you can play 2-player game with this as well. So it'll definitely be interesting to see how these games handle on the handheld as well, because technically speaking the handheld is sort of inferior. It's got a slightly slower processor, so it would be interesting. I'm sure they'll be fine, because obviously they have said that they will make sure the games run first and foremost on the handheld. Oh, I'm not very good at that. Cool game though. Let's have a look at some more games. So guys, let's have a quick bash at Intellivision. I don't want you to spend too much time on it. There's a lot of games on here, but it'd be interesting to see how these go. Let's play Astro Smash, which is possibly the best game on here. Interested to see how they actually control. I thought that this Astro Smash was probably quite simple. Help, press B, that's a pause button. Let's just get started pressing A. So the controls seem quite cool. I think the ship moves quite fine on the D-pad. No problem with the fire buttons. Yeah, this is quite a cool game. It's really just one of those games that you just keep firing away. I guess it's going to be one of those ones that would be quite cool for high score purposes. Definitely for future. I can't say I would be very good at it though. But yeah, I really like this game. It's quite cool. So also maybe want to touch on the Princess Quest. This is the sort of a homebrew game, which is relatively new for a television game. Let's press fire. Interesting. So cool. Well, pretty tricky game, right enough. I mean, it is cool, but it's hard. You see, you've got hit points, and if you sort of use them up, you will die. I think that's going to happen quite quickly. Yeah, pretty tricky game. It's kind of like a Ghosts and Goblins style game, so to speak. Best thing to do is actually just keep running. So you get 9 hit points, you just need to look after that. Which I guess that's quite forgiving. I think having no hit point or 1 hit points, like, or 2 or 3 like Ghosts and Goblins would be horrifically frustrating. Very cool game. Hopefully we see more types of sort of homebrew games in the future. I'll absolutely love them. Kind of sort of interesting point there is that the game's actually still running without the cartridge being in. I don't think it would last very long, right enough. But interesting. Wonder if it sort of loads to the VS when you're sort of playing. Yeah, interesting. Let's get back, because actually if you go back to the main screen I have now put on a new cartridge, which is not this one. Yeah, it's now this one. That was interesting. So we have the Bitmap Brothers collection. Let's have a quick bash. So we've got another PlayStation game here, which is Speedball 2100. But probably not the best game here. Let's play the classic Speedball 2. I want to see how this plays. So this is, I believe this is the Mega Drive version. So far so good. Yeah, it seems to be playing quite well, and it wasn't about like a good pace. It almost seems faster than I can remember the Mega Drive version to actually be. I think the Mega Drive version sort of suffered a little bit of being slightly slower than, let's say, the Amiga version. But it seems quite good so far. This is definitely one of these games you can play 2-player, I guess. I used to play this game a lot back in the day. Mainly on the C64 to be honest, but I definitely played a lot of it. Absolutely class game. Looking forward to review this cart. Okay guys, I thought it'd be a good idea to try out some of the older carts as well, so make sure they're okay, and especially if I can play with my old saves. I think one of the things that's Blaze are trying to sort of promote, especially if you look at the trailer, is multiplayer games and the ability to sort of swap between handheld and sort of the VS. It's like a switch type of thing, so you can play on the train with your game, then come home, plug it into the VS, because the actual saves are saved on the cartridge, so you can play anywhere basically, just wherever the cartridge is in your VS or your handheld, so it doesn't really matter. So that's a really cool feature. Obviously it's very Switch-like, but it's still quite cool. Let's have a look at Tanglewood and Xeno Crisis. Both of these games are definitely top-notch games and worth playing. So what I'll maybe do is maybe play some progress, save it, and then show you it maybe transferring straight to the sort of handheld, to give you an idea of how quick it can actually swap between. Let's check my previous saves. So the pictures are obviously missing. They will probably appear once you start saving on the VS. It'll automatically save a picture for you, but obviously just now you don't really know what the slots are. If you can remember what your save points were, then that would help, but right now there's no pictures until you start saving on here, so let's maybe quickly jump into one, give you an idea. Oh, I died already. So this is probably one of the later levels in Tanglewood, and it's absolutely rock solid hard, sort of running away from these monsters, or trying to. If you can remember the sort of button layout, which I guess would help if you want to sort of know what the button layout is. Go to the controls, you see jump is B. Obviously I tried to press B there and nothing happened. Use your colour ability as A, so you can change the layout here as well. You can see if you want to. You've got different layouts. You can see the trigger buttons are actually utilised there. Be interesting to see how many games. I think Worms actually does utilise the additional buttons. We'll have a look at that later on in the video. Ooh, so So this is one of these games you just really need to keep running. Oh, hope for the best and die. Anyway, you get a absolutely terrific game. Let's check another save. You can see this obviously late in the game. If you haven't played this game, I would highly recommend it. It is absolutely fantastic. Certainly one of the best games on the Evercade. It's got great atmosphere, great graphics. You see it absolutely pops on here. This is probably one of the games you could maybe get away with playing full screen. It obviously fills the screen quite well as it is. As you can see. But what I'm going to do is save here and maybe quickly jump to the handheld to show you how quick this actually works. So let's maybe save it on slot 2 for example. Maybe sort of go in there, you can actually see the picture. And there we go. So what I'll do is I'll jump on the handheld and we'll quickly insert that in here and show you how it quickly switches between the two. You can see here I've just jumped straight back into Tanglewood on the handheld, and it's straight to where the save was that we were at, which is quite cool. I think that's a really nice feature. I guess you can just pick up from where you left off if you were on the train, out and about, sort of relaxing. You come home, you want to play on the TV, just take it out, put it straight in. Great feature. Obviously it's kind of stole from the Switch a little bit, but it's still a great little feature. Okay guys, what we'll do is have a look at Xeno Crisis, and interestingly this can be played as a 2-player game as well, which I'm really quite looking forward to trying out. See if it makes the game any easier, which I doubt. Let's jump into a save. So press the menu button to load in a save. Not really sure what one I'm going to go for, but yeah, let's try one. Oh, great looking game. Interesting to see how this looks pixel perfect. I think this is going to vary what your size of TV is. If you've got a rather large TV and pixel perfect, it might actually work fine. And we obviously see you've got huge borders there. If you're on a small TV or monitor, it may not look the greatest. But absolutely terrific game, Xeno Crisis. Outstanding. Outstandingly difficult as well, which I said I think it'd be interesting to add another player to see how it actually works and how it goes, if it makes it any easier or just still extremely hard. Okay guys, what I'm going to do now is actually test different controllers. So what I'm going to do now is actually plug in the Evercade handheld itself and see if that's actually recognised. I'm just using the connection cable that I got with the device. Okay, so interesting, I'm trying to connect it, really doesn't register at all at the moment. I'm not really sure if that's going to be fixed when the sort of day one patch, but at the moment it's not really registering. Now I've not got a cartridge inserted, not really sure if that makes any difference. Let's sort of put one in and see. So kind of now it kind of just feels as if it's a charge. So I've got the 8-bit controller sort of connected up, and I'm going to try and map this one and see how it goes. So map controller, select, hold any button to the controller you want to configure. Okay, it seems to think it's an Xbox 360 controller, so hold down any button and then you can sort of map the buttons that you want. So press up, recognize, press down, left, right, A, B, X, Y, L1, R1, L2, R2, start button, and select. I don't have a menu button, so that's the only thing that's kind of a bit strange, so I'm not sure how that's going to work. And that seems to be okay. Let me see if we can jump straight into a game. Let's try jumping into Yazzie. See, what did I connect? Interestingly, I've not really got a menu button for here, but I suppose I really should have had a different sort of button here that I could have used. Anyway, the controller definitely works, which is a good thing. They definitely said that you can actually use the Xbox adaptive controller as well if you really want to do, which is the big massive sort of white thing for sort of special needs, which is fantastic. So interesting. My controls are not working. So even though I've mapped that, I'm sort of having issues with that. I don't really know what's going on there, I guess. So it obviously thinks that's a 2-player. But what I need to do is actually check that out, make sure that's in the 1-player slot. Yeah, so it's fine now. I had that in the 2-player slot. So it works. The 8-bit controller definitely works fine. Just make sure you've got it in the correct slot. So what I'm going to try now is this Retrobit controller, which came with the Super Retrocade. It comes with a sort of wired sort of thing, USB, so it should be able to work, I guess. Let's try it and see. Okay guys, I've got the Retrobit controller inserted. I'm going to try and map it a little bit. Oh, press the wrong button. It's obviously recognising some of the buttons already, but it's not quite perfect. So it recognises it's a 8-bit, it's a Retrobit controller. So we can map some of the buttons, but you need to be mindful that it doesn't have all the buttons that's on the VS controller, so you may have to skip a few. Partly you can use the Xbox controller or PlayStation, but I'm not going to test them. I'm not realistically going to play with them. Let's sort of skip these buttons. I definitely find it a little bit problematic trying to skip it. It's really not the cleanest sort of operation here. It's really not recognising the button. I'm holding it as long as I can for 2 seconds and it's not really recognising. Okay, let's try start. Okay, I've kind of mucked that up a bit, but you can see it's a bit problematic. It's not the smoothest sort of operation with the controllers. Some work, some don't. I think you're probably better off sticking to the actual VS controller, I think. But the controllers do work, they just need a little bit of sort of give and take. I think a sort of maybe a firmware update would maybe be grateful here. Okay guys, let's have a quick bash at Indie Heroes. I would really want to sort of jump on one of my favourite games and see how it sort of looks and goes. See, I've obviously still got it in pixel perfect. I think on a big screen this might be okay, but I think on a smaller screen it may look a little bit tiny. Let's sort of change it just to original just now. Probably one of the games you could maybe just about get away with stretching the screen out as well. Let's sort of jump to a save. Okay, so interestingly, some of the saves sort of here are still sort of a bit problematic. I guess that's going to be fixed with a future firmware update. I definitely have more saves than this, but this seems to be missing quite a few. But you can see it looks really nice. I think Indie Heroes definitely had issues with the sort of save states in some of the cartridges, and it still seems to be that case. Hopefully that's going to get updated. I'm pretty sure firmware updates are happening all the time. We've not really had one in the handheld for some time, so I guess that's going to happen soon. And that's definitely one of the things that's going to be looked at. And I think when most people get this on day one, the patches will be fixed and all the save states will be fine. I think Indie Heroes is probably one of the ones that was problematic. So that if you played even in the handheld, you would probably not be able to play that on the TV mode, for example. It seems to not recognise your save states, which is odd. Mash the B button less. Yeah, it's hard though. There we go. If you've not played this game, I would urge you to have a look at it. It's one of the best games I think I've seen on Evercade. Not sure if it is the best, but it's definitely right up there with the best games I've played. Absolutely fantastic. You'll die lots, but you have plenty of life, so it's absolutely fine. Yeah, you just need to know the timing basically. Absolutely terrific game. Anyway guys, I think we can move on, but I think I'm really just picking this card because I know there's issues with some of the save states. Not with all the games, I think some are fine. Let's try a different one. Let's try sort of Alien Cat. Last save, see what it jumps into. So that's interesting, this one's actually fine. If I sort of look at my last saves, this one's fine. So it's not with every game, it just seems problematic with some games. There's some issues. I think Doodle World and Flea were some of the ones that you can't play on TV mode, for example, if you've already saved some games in handheld mode. But this will be fixed in day one patch, I'm pretty sure. So guys, kind of just out of curiosity to see if actually a mouse connected would detect or anything, but nah. Definitely doesn't work, because obviously a mouse would be fantastic to use on games such as Cannon Fodder and Worms, but nah, it doesn't recognise. Maybe it will in the future with a keyboard. Who knows? It's certainly something to look out for. Just thought I'd try anyway. Okay guys, let's have a look at Worms, because I think playing this, especially with another opponent, is probably a better way of playing. Especially on the VS on a bigger screen, because on a handheld, it really is tough to sort of see all the details. But maybe sort of blown up on a larger TV with a human opponent would definitely be the way to play. I mean, it definitely makes you laugh. You can see it definitely looks better, it's more blown up, you can make it out better on the big screen. Sort of playing it on the smaller screen is just, I don't know, it just doesn't work as a handheld game. But I think definitely it should have a sort of another lease of life playing on the big screen on the VS. Absolutely, I think this is what this game was definitely intended for, rather than sort of playing it on the handheld. Because I think there's definitely fun to be had, and this is probably a game I'm going to look at again in the future playing on the VS, because there's definitely a better game to be played here than the one on the handheld. Definitely doesn't work handheld. Right guys, we're going to be playing the Combat Tribes. We're going to try the 3-player option on it. I've got Cole and Kate here to try and help me, so let's get started. We've added in the 8-bit do controller to sort of see if that helps. Get some 3-player action in. So let's get some coins in and get started. You guys can use sort of join. Yeah, you're in, you're the red guy. Cole, can you add in as well?
Press 2.
There you go, so we've got all 3 players on. Yeah, so do you know what you are? I'm the blue guy.
I'm the red guy.
Just press the button, Cole.
Oh, Cole's the blue guy.
There's a lot going on here, can't really see what's happening.
I just ride with the guy.
I'm not the blue.
Who you're the green guy, Cole, are you not?
No, I'm the yellow.
You yellow, that's green.
That is not.
That's green!
That is yellow.
Wow.
Are you covered?
I must be dark. Okay, I know I'm blue. Okay, you're red, funny enough, your favourite colour. That's quite cool, all 3 of us played. There's not an awful lot of 4-player games, we'll see if we can try and get one started.
This is so much better with this controller.
Yeah, this is oh, that's that one. Kid's using the 8-bit do controller, and he's the red guy. But yeah, there's only a couple of buttons, guys. There's only punch and, you know,
I like
punch
just
and punch
picking
and
up the
kick.
guys and just throwing them across the
Yeah, press them both together and maybe get a special move.
My guy just like.
Yay! Yeah, there's so much going on here. I can't see what's happening.
I just kicked the guy in the face. What?
Oh, I just need that guy. Are you out already? Oh, you need more coins, Cole. Let's try a 4-player game. We've got Super Skid Marks. There's a few 4-player games, not loads. A button to load in. You just sort of use that.
I'm so bad.
So I think this game would probably actually be quite fun as a 4-player game, sort of playing against your friend. But it's a tricky game.
See ya.
Are you sure? Come on. Yeah, bye.
No.
See you next week.
I get teleported whenever you get too far away.
Yeah, you
can never escape me.
I think you get time added on if that happens. Yeah, you get time added on. Plus 0.8 of a second.
Bye.
So that's to our last.
Oh crap. I don't know where I'm going.
Anyway, that's good fun, guys. Let's sort of move on. I think that's fine. Okay, guys, this next section is going to be about the unlockable secrets, which we've already covered on our channel, but I'm going to show you on the VS. If you don't want to know what these are, please skip to the next chapter and move on. But if you want to know what they are, then keep on watching. Okay, so the first one, obviously they got this one from the Retro Gamer magazine, but it says you can actually, with any cartridge inserted, but you can actually do it with no cartridge inserted and play this game. So what you do is you hold down L2 and R2 and press select, and it brings up Gotros, which is a Master System game, which is actually only the second Master System game on the VS or Evercade handheld after Speedball on the Bitmap Brothers collection. But it's quite a cool game, a little sort of puzzler, sort of Go style game, like Tetris, but it's different. Let's have a play at it and see. Very good. It's a sort of homebrew game. It's completely brand new. It sort of utilised a few years ago, but it was only sort of finished only recently, and it's very good. So let's sort of jump to the main game. It's quite cool we've got these games without even having a cartridge inserted that's actually already on the console. Now I'm pretty sure there's probably a lot more, but it's going to be interesting finding them out. And it's a 2-player game too. It's a really nice game. I actually really like this game. Oh, I've actually paused it. Oops. So you need to surround for instance, surround the white colour with black or vice versa, and that's how you get points. But I go first, then the computer goes, for example. Obviously nothing I can do with that. Interesting, it takes a little bit to get used to, because in your head you're really thinking Tetris, I guess, and you kind of get a bit confused sometimes. I know I definitely do, but you could play around here and realise you'd get absolutely nothing. I'll try and surround these blacks with some white, I think, see what happens. Probably nothing. Because I've done it wrong. Definitely done it wrong. It's quite addictive. I think I definitely want to play this one more, but it's fun. Anyway, let's move on to this next Unlockable games. Okay guys, the next one we're going to reveal is by inserting in Atari Collection 1. These are the original carts, and Atari Collection 2. So a massive selection of games here, but there's an additional one gets added, which is Dark Chambers 7800 version, which is fantastic. We already have the 2600 version, but the Atari 7800 version is definitely much better. Let's have a look at it. Definitely a really cool game, handles really well here too. Obviously it's got that sort of gauntlet vibe to it, and do you know, for a free game, I don't think you can argue with that. The fact that we're actually getting secrets in free games is really impressive in my book. And I think there's obviously high expectations for the type of games that we're going to get, but you know, I think we're going to get games similar to this, but these are good. For free, absolutely terrific. And it's amazing that Blaze are actually sort of doing this. They don't have to, there's no reason for them to sort of do that for us, but they have, and plaudits to them because it's an absolutely fantastic idea. And I think we'll definitely see more, and I'm sure there'll be a lot more to unlock. So don't worry, if you want to discover some, you'll probably discover more yourself, and there'll be more added, I guess, in a day one patch, I'm sure. Great fun game, I'm definitely going to be playing this. Oh, I'm getting cornered. Okay guys, let's move on to the next game. Okay guys, staying with Atari, we're going to have a look at inserting Atari Lynx Collection 1 and Atari Collection, Lynx Collection 2. This unlocks another game. And let's scroll down to find what that game is. And here it's here. So this is a game called Radon Tri-City, which is the second wave, in which if you sort of look at it on its own, if you want to buy a sort of cartridge version of this, it costs $40. The fact that we're getting this on the console for free as an unlockable game is just truly outstanding. You can't get better value than that. And let's have a look at it. It's another kind of Tetris style game, kind of hard to get your head round, but it's another brand new sort of homebrew game as well, and I'm really impressed with this. Again, obviously with the Atari Lynx, I don't think this is probably one of the carts that doesn't play great on a blown up TV. It's kind of got a little bit blocky. I think, yeah, it's definitely better as a handheld thing. But yeah, let's have a shot. So you're like a spaceship, you need to sort of obviously you need to try and create lines. Those ones are bullets, I think that you get extra bullets, I believe. So you're trying to create lines and not get everything sort of full up, but yeah, you're trying to create some kind of lines. It definitely takes a bit of getting used to. It's a bit like Gortus when you kind of definitely takes a little bit of getting used to and get your head round, to be honest. You don't want to fill it up too much, but you obviously want to try and create lines. Oh, that's not good. That's going to fill up there. Try and get rid of that. And same here. Okay, this looks good. I'll try and get a line here, I guess. There you go, we got a line. Definitely tricky. I mean, obviously it has those sort of Tetris vibes, but it's a little bit different to that, but it's hard as nails. Pretty good for free though, that's for sure. I think if you want to sort of buy this as a sort of Atari Lynx game or its own, it's a lot of money. Amazing. Anyway guys, that's that game. It's particularly good. Quite hard though, quite hard. Okay guys, the next game is utilised and unlocked by putting in Pico Collection 1 and Pico Collection 2. And this unlocks, what game was it again? oh yeah, it unlocks this sort of new game called Pyramids of Ra, which we already covered on the channel. It was originally a Game Boy game, but it was sort of made into a NES version, but it was kind of there wasn't any colour in it, and it was kind of shelved for a while. There was only a demo available. But now it's been picked up again by Pico, and it's now got this nice little soundtrack, and it's got a nice little colorized version to it. Let's just get started, just press start. So the idea is to basically walk around every block and get back to the S by making sure you step in every single available block. So if you've sort of played Roneo's Tale recently, it's a little bit like that and that sort of idea. And I quite like it. I really like Roneo's Tale, and I think this is certainly right up there, and it'll keep you going. Interestingly, it would be really good to sort of play some of these games in handheld mode, but at present that's not going to be an option. I'm sure it might happen, but obviously these games are actually held on the VS themselves rather than the carts, so they would have to do some kind of firmware update with the carts, I guess, or on the sort of handheld to make that happen. But right now, it's definitely VS only, I'm afraid. Love the game though, it's really cool. Okay guys, the next secret game that I've found on the Evercade VS comes as a bit of a surprise. I knew there was an extra game. I wasn't sure what the combination of the carts were, but I found it by complete accident, and I was really good going through everything, and then I came across this by complete accident. I don't know why I tried it, but here we go. The first cart to insert is Gaelco Arcade 1. The next collection to insert is Indie Heroes Collection 1. And amazingly, I found a secret game by complete accident. As you can see here, it's right at the top, and it's called Arcade Rush. Now this is actually a relatively new game. It's from 2021, but it's a NES version, and it's a homebrew game, and it's it's probably one of those games that's right up the sort of streets of like Ryan at Blaze, for example. Wait to say it more, see. It's sort of about fixing arcade cabinets and working with PCBs and all that kind of sort of jargon. It's pretty cool. Let's have a look at the sort of explanation of how to actually do the game. So you need to basically keep arcade running by removing PCBs. Someone solders it, another one cleans it, reinsert the PCB, wait for the game to reboot, restart the game, and there you go. The game keeps running. So machines keep breaking all over the arcade, and you just need to keep fixing them. And you can play a 4-player game. So this is a completely new game, 4 players, that's unlockable on the VS, which is absolutely fantastic. So let's have a look at it and see what it's like. So here we go. It was made by Nathan Tolbert, and it's a homebrew game, obviously. And you can see you can play up to 4 players, but at the moment it's just me. I'll just go straight to the day one. The tutorial really just tells you what to do, and as I'm playing I'll give you an idea of what you need to do. But I think this is a game that's definitely better with more players, because then you can sort of play and sort of work together. It's a bit, if you think that sort of cooking game on the sort of modern consoles, it's that kind of idea. So you see there's this console here, our arcade cabinet has went down. So you need to sort of, you can swap between the players, you can see, but you need to press the B button to remove the circuit board. So we've got a circuit board, put it down, get the solder and iron, fix it, you can see the loading bar, then put the solder and iron down. You need to sort of clean the cabinet as well, so the other player could be doing that, for example. Then you can get the solder, the circuit board, stick it back in the machine, and it's loading again, it will reboot. Then once that's done, you press B to start up again, and it's working. So there you go, it's back to working normal again. You keep going around the cabinets. I guess, like I say, you really need to be playing this with sort of more players, and you sort of combine and keep it going. But it's pretty cool, it's really nice, and it's a great little addition to the Evercade VS. So guys, just sort of showing my setup. This is my sort of small monitor, and also this video doesn't really do it justice, but it looks really cool on a sort of small monitor. And this is a sort of 21-inch sort of size monitor. This is generally how I would play most of my retro gaming rather than a full-size TV, because I feel like sometimes on a full-size TV it just sort of doesn't blow up too well. But I'm going to have a look at it anyway. But you can see I'm just going to try one of the Gaelco Arcade carts and see how it actually goes and how it looks. I think you can maybe sort of swap between the pixel perfect mode on this, which I think will show up a little bit better when you're playing on a monitor, and it sort of smooths things out a little bit. I don't think there's a massive difference right enough, but it just sort of sharpens things out a little bit. It probably could be a little bit better, I guess, but it's fine. It definitely makes the picture a little bit smaller. I think on a larger TV it would probably be a little bit better, which I'm going to have a look at in a second. So this is the VS on an even larger TV. I'm just going to check it for lag and how it looks on the big screen. So I'm just kind of concerned that some of the games might look a bit over blocky or maybe laggy on the big screen, because they are retro games after all. And let's have a quick look. So obviously it does actually look really good on a big TV. That has actually surprised me. I was expecting it to be a little bit blocky, but it's actually completely fine. Let's sort of stick the sort of sound up slightly. You can see it looks really nice, plays good. Let's see, is there any lag? I mean, let's have a look. Very little lag. It's not so bad at all, is it? Sort of jump. This is a fairly slow game to actually play, but there's very little lag as far as I can see. I mean, it's quite minimal anyway. And that's quite impressive, because a few retro games I've played recently, the lag has been a little bit of a problem. I couldn't play like the Super Console X Pro, for example. The lag was horrific on the sort of larger TV, it just was unplayable. But this is good, this is fine. Definitely something I was concerned about, but absolutely fine. Interesting, I'm going to have a quick look at the Atari Lynx cart, because I think that sort of cart doesn't really play well on a VS. I think it's better for a handheld, but let's have a look anyway. So, play this one for, yeah, you know who you are. So it does look a little bit blocky. I mean, that's definitely something that comes across on the big screen. So you may want to think twice about playing some of the Atari Lynx sort of games on here. But we'll mess about, see if we can get it to look a little bit better. For example, but if you look, it's very blocky. I mean, it probably doesn't look so blocky, but on my sort of TV here, it is extremely blocky, which kind of makes it a little bit off-putting for sort of playing on the big TV. I'd see if it changes any by putting it on pixel perfect mode, because it's on original here. Sort of try to do this with one hand, it's quite tricky. So that's in pixel perfect, and it doesn't really make a heck of a lot of difference, to be honest. I'm not really sure it makes much difference, but maybe just cleans it up slightly. It's hard to actually tell what it actually does, but I think that's going to be a hard play, to be honest, be playing this. It looks okay on TV here on this sort of camera, but actually in real life it's definitely tricky, and this is as good as it gets for me on this game. One of the hardest games to play ever. Anyway, I thought I'd try that because it's definitely worth it. It looks okay in the camera, but if you look closer, it's definitely pretty blocky here. So might want to give those a miss on the VS rather than play them on the handheld. Okay guys, it's time to sort of summarise the video. So my overall thoughts of the Evercade VS is extremely positive. I think it's absolutely fantastic. There's so many nice touches with regards to its fantastic. Like the light at the front of the console is just, it's mesmerising. It's probably one of the nicest touches. There's lots of little touches everywhere. I mean, like that light is just absolutely fantastic. It's even better when it's sort of in the dark and lighting up, maybe if you're playing games at night. It looks fantastic. But at the end of the day, I think I've found very few negatives with it. I think mostly positives. I mean, I think I was just wondering myself, will I play the VS more than the handheld? And it's really hard to say. And obviously it links in nicely with the handheld, the fact that you can sort of plug and play on both wherever you are. And I think that's a really nice touch as well. So the controller I'm not really sure about just now. I just think it feels a little bit cheap and the shoulder buttons feel a bit plasticky. But it's not bad. I think I'll maybe have a different opinion once I actually play more with it. But overall, I think the blocky graphics in the large TV, I thought it would have been an issue, but it's not actually a big problem, except with maybe some games like the Atari Lynx Collection, for example. But that really is meant for handheld play at the end of the day. I mean, it is Atari Lynx. So obviously the console doesn't come with an HDMI cable, but I'm pretty sure most people will have plenty of these lying about, so it shouldn't be a massive problem, and you can pick one up relatively cheap anyway. But apparently, so the Blaze have a 2-year plan minimum, but I reckon that the Evercade VS and Handheld, they're going to be around for many years to come. The fact that this is based for retro gamers, you know, it's not really got a time sort of frame on it. I think right now as it stands, this is a retro gamer's dream. Especially for collectors that love all the sort of physical copies of carts. Now that we've got a console, I think we'll see a lot more people actually come on board. And for me, I'd love to see more Indie Heroes stuff. I mean, I absolutely loved that. Like Mega Cats, Indie Heroes, they were the games I think I've played most. I definitely love to see some of the old stuff come back, but the new retro stuff is where it's at for me. I absolutely love discovering those hidden gems in those new games that we all love to sort of play. Absolutely fantastic. But I would like to also see some more Amiga, Commodore 64, Spectrum, all that kind of thing. Maybe that will happen. And obviously we're still looking forward to some announcements, more arcade companies coming on board, new arcade carts. It's quite an exciting time to be a retro gamer in the Evercade community. And talk about the community, I'd really love to see a lot of the sort of community be rewarded, maybe with a VS to review as well, like Sir Topping Hat from Twitter, who pretty much spends every single day posting stuff about Evercade. There's no one that posts more than him, by far. Also, I'd like to see maybe like James from Much Much More. He's posted lots of Evercade stuff. The unofficial fans group on Facebook, the Retro Gaming Revival, Lamarcus Alston on the sort of retro mini consoles as well. So obviously that's just my wish list for those that have been very active in the community over the last year and a half, and it'd be nice to see them rewarded as well with a sort of review copy. And I'm very grateful for receiving one and really didn't expect one, and thanks again to Blaze for sending one to me, Sean and Ryan and Andrew as well. Thank you very, very much. I really appreciate it. I hope I've done the console justice. I'm really impressed with it. I think it's definitely got a very bright future ahead of it. Definitely exciting things to come. We're all intrigued to see what the next chapter is. So another handheld maybe on the way, a different colour. All sorts of things happening. It's quite exciting. I'm really looking forward to seeing everyone else get their VS and seeing what their thoughts are. But so far, I think it's been overwhelmingly positive, and it's the same for me. I'm really impressed with it. I think it's absolutely fantastic. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and we'll catch you again next time. Bye for now. Okay, Ryan, I was only kidding. I've got it in pride of place in my bedroom, honestly. Didn't bin it at all. Bye.